this year is our 20th year anniversary, and because of that, we're gonna go back in time through all of our pedals and kind of dig into the history of how they were born, what dictated some of the design choices that we made. Starting with the Zoya. Right here, this is one of the original prototype units that we built. And we can also look at some of the R&D that's left over from those years going back to 2016. Kid Koala, he's a DJ. Found out that he had been using a super delay, so I got in contact with him. We got together in Montreal and he said that he wanted to make an art installation where people could walk up to it and play with the installation that would act like a synthesizer. I was also playing with pure data a lot, and I thought it would be great to have a hardware version of this system. So the first version of the Zoya basically was running on reverb hardware. We had a mono, it's just a grid of buttons, and so I had that connected to the reverb, and together they were like the first Zoya. And my first idea for the Zoya was you wouldn't put down like an LFO, an oscillator, this or that. You would just have like one LFO, one oscillator. What is going on up there?
What is going on up there?
Hopefully that's not the emergency. John, I think he's like sledding down that big hill with his GT Snow Racer.
Are you ready for this?
Oh, it sounds like...
Oh, Ivan.
I was just gonna select like what the person would have. They'd have what the user would have. They'd have an oscillators, an LFO, some filters, and I tried using that for a while. I'm like, well, that's pretty limiting. You know, it would be nice just to be able to drop down whatever you wanted. We got a CNC machine, and then we built these. So these would create the mold, which would create the buttons. And in retrospect, it probably would have just been much better to hire some company to build these buttons for us, because it was like a year-long endeavor of pain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Most of these have 7 buttons across. Like the Zoya has 8 buttons across. I remember showing this to Knobs, and he was the one that said 7's a crazy number. You have to make it 8. It's one of the first. Yeah, I think we made this with a Form 2, which is a resin 3D printer, which is, I really hate resin 3D printers. They're such a pain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so I guess we did make boards. This is Zoya O2A. So we ran with the 7 for a little while. These were the pads that we made, and they didn't turn out this color. They turned out clear, and then over time they kind of like looked like they turned into like smokers' fingers, basically.
Yeah, tiny screen Zoya.
A little tinier. Yeah, I think most people would probably say, well, they're all tiny. They're all tiny screen Zoyas. If only they'd make another version with bigger screen. Yes, I know we just have to keep all this stuff if the government comes after us. Yeah, so I'm guessing this was the first Zoya that we showed at NAMM. The knob is kind of smaller. There's no MIDI on the back. The SD card is a big SD, it's not the micro. And also the screen lens is a lot smaller. So if people think this one's small, imagine they got this. Actually, the first Zoya wasn't even supposed to have a screen. It was just supposed to have a bunch of 7-segment LCDs or LEDs or whatever they're called, which would have been a nightmare to do anything with. So if you're frustrated by this Zoya, I guess we'll see what the version is, although it probably doesn't tell you the version when it first powers on.
It does not.
Okay, let's see. Does it power on? Oh, it does clickies. Did it just do clickies? Wow, that would not be a good user experience. Just wait for about a minute and then it might turn on. Let's see. We're going to try to rename. Okay. Yeah, the lens is so small, everything's, you can't read anything. Okay, rename this screen. This sucks. That didn't work. How do I go backwards? I don't think there is a backwards. Okay, TH002X. Okay, that doesn't actually save anywhere. Okay, so let's see what it has. There's an input audio L. Frequency. It still has the same scale, 40, Oh, it's kind of smooth. I hate to say it, but there's something about the rotary action that I really like. Yeah, steps. It's not really telling you any. I don't think. Yeah, it doesn't tell you the note. It just tells you a bunch of numbers, and you're supposed to know that means different things.
I also found it weird that the top row is not the same order as the production units.
Yeah, we kind of just did it randomly. So the eyeball's pretty sweet. So it may be kind of nice having it first. Let's see what was. Yeah, there was no config options. There's no pages.
Oh,
moving. Oh, there is pages. It says moving up page. And then I guess you click on that. Or you just wait. And then you don't know what page you're on. The categories are all the same. Interface. No, they're not. We did a lot of things since then. Cool. Well, that's a wrap for the first history video we're doing, the Zoya. Next month we're gonna do a video on the modulation pedals that we've done at Empress. Tremolo, modulation. Tremolo 2, also modulation. Our phaser pedal, modulation. Nebulous. I guess that's it. And go into the history of how they were developed. So I hope you follow us along on this journey of adventure. We could show off the hook.
what's the hook?
It's a hook. It's a hook coming out of my finger.